Hello, hello, and good night, everyone. Before I start this live stream, I just want to say this video is sponsored by me and my quest to find the truth. Alright, so tonight is the 8th, no, the 4th of August 2026. Alright, so tonight I'm just making this live stream just to say, when was the last time you feel like you actually had a genuine thought? Right? Just think about that. Think about the last time you had a genuine thought. Right? I told Zadal tonight. I would have been live streaming tomorrow, but I'm live now. Sorry about that. Sometimes I just tend to just be random at times. I need to try to solve that problem bit by bit. But yeah, think about the last time you had a thought for yourself without anyone influencing you to do or to make that thought into a reality. Alright? No, no. What was that thought about? What was the topic about? Alright? Think about that. Right? What I'm getting at here is that sometimes our thoughts can be heavily influenced by those around us, you know? And it's not really to say that we had that thought for ourselves in the first place, because the thought itself is built upon, upon a topic which others had experience in the first place, you know? Now, today I just sat down and I really thought about all these things that we do on a daily basis in terms of working on all these things. I find all these things is just to stress we out, just to stress us out to the fullest extent, because like, why do all this stuff, all this work, just to like eat food, like just to live, like, you know what I mean? And we feel like shit. I mean, we literally feel like shit. Like, you ever see how many fat people, how many people on drugs, how many homeless people, how many people just unhappy, how many people committing suicide, how many people. And it's like, dude, like, you feel like shit, like, and they keep pretending like, everything alright and everything good. But like, it's okay to feel like shit. You know? None of us actually, like that, like, just invincible or whatever they ask. All of us go through whatever we have to go through from times to time. You know, all of us go through what we have to go through sometimes, and that's okay. But the problem comes now where we tend to ask the question, are you good? Now, I get asked this question a lot on a daily basis. I just be like, I'm normal. I'm actually normal. Now, the term normal, I just mean not genuine. Honestly, like, normal just means I am where I'm supposed to be. I am always where I'm supposed to be. Even if it doesn't seem that way, even if sometimes um a mistake happened or whatever, it still was meant to happen. Things happen because it has to happen. That is how I see everything. Right? Now, when you think this thing wasn't supposed to happen or whatever, you tend to dwell over that. You tend to think, why it's never supposed to happen and thing, rather than interpreting what had happened. you know most of us, we just bury ourselves in vices and shit, and numb the situation, you know and we pretend like it's okay. And in this day and age, it doesn't have to be alcohol, it doesn't have to be vices like, women or this drinking alcohol, smoking, all these things. It doesn't have to be that. All of us, most of us, have these rectangular things we call a device, a phone, whatever you want to call it. And on this phone, it has so much information, so much different people, so many different things that you could watch within the click of a finger. You know? You ever been in a situation or you saw someone coming your way and you just be like, I really don't want to talk to this person. So you just pick up your phone and you just try to avoid this person. That is what I'm talking about. Like, we some of our lives are so bad, so shit, so like terrible, that we just pick up the phone and we just try to escape. The phone and all these alcohols and all these vices is just a way to escape from our lives. You know? Now, me personally, I was that kind of person. I was just a person that's escape through my phone, through the music I listen to, without realizing that, damn, this is not a character development or whatever, because I just used to listen. I never really used to try to make my own music or like, learn more about the artist or anything like that, or like even try to relate the music to other people. I was just listening it and being to myself in my own corner listening to music. So I was just that kind of person. I wasn't really the kind of person to this, relate the music. So yeah, and listening to music now. When I used to really listen to music, I used to feel like I belong there. I belong listening to this song, or even sometimes I'll watch videos, and I just keep watching videos, watching more and more and more, and I feel like, damn, yeah, I feel like you rather watch this person than live your own life. I mean, you're living your life, but at the same time, are you? I mean, you're just kind of doing the bare minimum. You're on work, but you just wish like the day could finish so fast that you just wish that the day could finish so fast that you just want to go home and watch more content, just consume more. And even on work, you just pick up the phone and you just let your mind flow to whatever content you're watching. And I mean, it's life is like stressful for most of us, but trying to escape is cheap. Not trying to solve the problem gets you even deeper into the maze. If you understand what I mean. I mean, if you ignore a problem for long enough, the problem doesn't just go away magically. It just because the problem is alive. Everything in life is alive. So the problem will grow and grow and grow. And it just eats away at you. Because at the end of the day, you're dependent on an item, on a product, and let's say the product just disappears, or the product doesn't feel the same as it used to. You just look for another stronger product that will solve the problem, and then you go down and down and down the ladder. Well, depends on how you want to look at it. I mean, these products are designed to get better and better as you get deeper into the loophole. So I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I mean, if you stuck in that cycle, I guess you're going up the ladder because you believe that you so believe in these products that you want to get a more advanced product. So I guess you're going up the ladder depending on your lifestyle and what you want in life. But true what how I see it, you're going down the ladder. So depends on what you want in life. Alright, so the product disappears. That is where the stress comes. Because you're not getting a quick fix. You're not getting whatever you need to feel like you, I guess. So this is why I was just feeling so empty, because every little chance I had, I was just listening music, or not trying to solve the problem, not investing time into what I need to invest time into. I was just investing time into what I want rather than what I need. So that is where it comes again. And another thing, everyone around there is doing the same thing as well. So all of that stems from, you know, so it's a combination of things. As with everything in life, it's never one thing. So yeah. So the phone the drugs, these devices, these vices, the games, all these things are just so, it is so you're just investing all your time in, I guess, someone else's life, someone else's dream, and in the process, without that, you feel like, you know, you can't survive. Because let me just break this song some more with some maths, with some mathematics. I wonder if I could just do it in MS Paint the same way. Alright, let me just do it in MS Paint. Alright, so let me see. It's nothing really complex. I mean, if you just spend your time day by day on a phone, you know, your life, your whole mind is invested into the phone, you know, rather than moving about and doing what you need to do for your own life, you know. Same thing with, you know, solving your problems, you know, rather than facing it and ignoring it, you know. So when you're on the phone now, it come like you're ignoring your own life. It come like you're ignoring yourself. You know, whenever you watching any entertainment and you know that it has something else to do around the house or in your personal life, what do you want to change for yourself? You're basically ignoring yourself and the problem is still there. Alright? That time you're taking to invest into yourself is just on a phone. Alright? But at the same time now, at the same time, you know, life can be stressful. But the kind of stress life has is not really real stress. Because you gotta watch it like this, right? Life is like, well, in societal life, with all these variables where you have to wake up early and work and come back home and do this. Yeah, I don't understand, like, all of us still live in nature, right? We still live on earth and we still exist in nature. I mean, these societies things, it will look massive and all of these things, but that's because if you put a dog in a cage, right, and the dog never knows what outside the cage looks like, say like for 2/3 of his life is spent in the cage, or even a third of his life are you spend in the cage, and you let it out the cage, he wouldn't know, he wouldn't want to roam far or do other things besides, you know, working on whatever. So, and the dog, when it was in the cage, it would have been complaining about, um, you know, you want to go outside and do this, do that. But in the cage, it has food, it has water, it has, I don't even know, some dog pens I see has beds and all of these things. So the cage is designed to keep you know, and You don't have to exercise, you don't have to socialize, right? You don't have to do play a lot of things in society you don't have to do. You don't even have to walk, you could just drive. Let me just think the cage in our terms. Right? We don't have to walk, we don't have to exercise, we don't have to cook food, we don't even have to hunt, we don't have to flipping, we don't even have to think for ourselves, we could just search it up on the phone, we don't have to have a mate, we don't. So all these so all these things is like, I mean, you must feel empty if you're not looking at what you're doing. You'll feel very empty because all these things, it's so easy to just consume, to less it's so easy to let all these tools, all these different devices do the work for us. We don't even have to think because it has alcohol, it has drugs you could just take, and you don't even have to think anymore. So this is a cage, right? This is what keeps most of us comfortable. And outside of it now is like, when you go outside of the cage, you get an understanding of this shit is just one part of everything, right? Same with the dog who comes out the cage, if the dog was to apply himself like around other dogs or in nature, he will come to realize that, it has more than the cage. He could get a mate, he could get a family, so long as some children, right? The dog will get stronger, get more resilient because you have to fight for food, and it will get more combat training from fighting and get stronger, right? You will know how to keep a mate, how to, it has a lot of things the cage doesn't teach you about, these things. Staying in the cage, you'll just have it like a flat. I don't even know what to call that. That is like the most. You just have it like a little, like a mush, like mush. That's what the cage is designed to make you do, to make it become mush. Just a consuming vacuum, just empty and can consume forever. That kind of, let's like, damn, that just, oof. Outside the cage, you just learn to appreciate things, you learn how to think for yourself, you learn strength, you learn true strength, true light, true truthness. You just learn more. That's where I want to live. I want to live outside the cage. I don't want to be dependent on all these things. Now, it's not to say that I want to live in a bush. There's a difference between living in a bush and living in nature. Now, living in the forest different from living in nature. Me living and doing work and doing what I need to do on a daily basis is me living in nature. Living in nature means living your true self. That is what living in nature means. Right? Living your true self. Alright? Living up to your true potential is living in nature. Living in nature doesn't mean living in the forest or living in wherever place you wanna call it. This ants no crawling, man. Come back. Alright. The ants try to combat me. Try to. Alright. So all I used to say is that should not be saying society, you know, I just should be saying all these things are invented to solve problems, but these were minor problems compared to the major problem of survival of food. That was the major one. So all these other things is minor. There are no real problems in the modern world. There are no real. It have no real problems in modern world anymore. Like as long as you have enough money for food, that's it. I mean, that is all I really need. It's about the difference between wants and need. I guess that was what most of us get mixed up with. You know? I guess sometimes some of us, you know, we get so used to all these automated problem solving systems that whenever we don't get something, it feels like it feels so strange that we just instantly break under pressure. I guess that is the way of just depending, that total state of dependence weighs so heavy that if we don't get it, wow, you know? This is why I want to live outside. I want to live within my true self because I don't want to be on a level of dependence. You know? That dependency is the cage. That because the moment someone doesn't bring the thing I depend on is when I die. You know, because you don't know how to do that for yourself. You know, just like the dog who doesn't get water and food, you know, and he get releases into the wild. You wouldn't know, like, you don't know shit, you know. So all these devices, all these things, I wanna just learn how they made it, because like, why not? You know, even if I get to know like a small percentage of how it was made, I mean that is a lot, because these organizations they need thousands of people just to create one item, you know. and they need, because if you watch like a phone, first they had to manufacture that part. No, no, I not even the first process. That is far from the first process. They have to find the materials to manufacture that. Locate the materials first, then they send the workers to collect the materials, to mine the materials, collect it, refine the material, send it to the factory after that. This is already 4 steps. Send it to the factory after that. The factory had to manufacture the base part, meaning like the processor, the metals needed, and all these things. And then from that, the assembly line, right? The assembly line had to paint it up, put it together, and then now the packaging, they had to package that as well. Send it to the stores, then the stores, they'll know. They had to send it through the shipping company. Shipping company has to send it overseas, probably in containers and all these, because it had to go worldwide. Containers, all these things. And then to the store, and then into. So it's like this product worth so much effort. It's like, what he asked. This was so much effort just to reach in my hand. And it reached, you know, and it's like most of us take it for granted that this item is here. And everyone has one, even a vehicle. Like, you know how much sophistication went into that? And most of us don't even know like, I had to learn them things, like, seriously. Right? So that is my true self. You know, being able to just do what I want and learn organizational skills. I want to be able to do that. You know, and as long as I just watch it like this too. I just watch life as just have food, exercise, and rest, because that's the base. That is like the base foundation of everything, really. Food, exercise, and rest. That is like, well, in living organisms, food, exercise, and rest. I think some animals doesn't even rest, but I mean, they have their own version of rest. You know, whether they die, because some of them, they are alive and then they reproduce so fast and then die after. So it's like they probably just rest when they die, and then back alive as another form alive. Anyways, so food, exercise, and rest is all you need. Whatever work you have, is not stress. It's not stressful. It's just your dependence on tools. If you don't get the tools to depend on, that is where the problem comes. Right? But as long as you just keep within nature, I try to look at it as if you didn't have all these things, all these tools, think about it like that. Like, you know, 'cause if we didn't have all this, just be like a normal, I don't know, a normal four-limbed creature, a normal, like a ape. basically. So those are the things about it like that. And yeah, just invest time into your life. Don't watch too much of this phone, this device, because that time is just wasting time, you know. Especially if you have a belief in yourself, that will mess you up. Essentially, will be taking whatever person you're watching belief into your own life, and yeah, too much consumption will lead to that. In fact, too much consumption in one thing, in anything actually, could lead to some damning side effects. Um, so it's better to just live within your mind. Just live in silence, live within your mind to get a greater standing, you know, within what you believe and what is for you. So just watch yourself rather than others. Alright, so just really made this live stream here tonight out of pure out of that pure thought. Alright, so until next time, I have been Julian Tyler Jones, and until next time, stay yourself, stay 100% you, and stay. Oh yeah, I didn't even get to what the title was trying to say. Right, I was just trying to say that if it wasn't for like all these media and all these different things that we get influence from, who you would have been as a person. Let's think about that. If you wasn't consuming media and all these movies and all these things, who you would have been as a person. Think about that. Who you would have been, who you would be as a person. Think about that. Like, let me just say that one more time. If it wasn't for shows, movies, media, who you would have been as a person? Would you have been the same? Would you have been? So that is essentially what watching shows and watching all these different things does to you. It changes you. It changes how you think. It changes your thinking dynamic, your patience, all these things. It changes. So this is what I mean by just live within your mind and you will know what you want. That is the truest version of you, because nothing is influencing you to think this way or think that way. Right, until next time, I guess so, yeah. Huh. Yeah, so let's think about that. Could go deeper into that topic, you know. So some of us grew up on all these different medias so dependent that our opinions are shaped by these medias, you know, these outlets. We are plugged in so much, we are plugged into it so hard that it shapes our opinions, our way of thinking, our beliefs. You know, without thinking that we are just here for a certain amount of time on this earth, we just get so plugged into these distractions that we forget that we are a person, right? So just imagine without this distraction, who you would have been, you know? Without that influence. This shit runs deep, man. Damn. So remember that everything has depth, everything is everything, so everything within everything is alive. So until next time, try to form your own opinion and leave a comment. I have been Julian Tyler Jones. Until next time. Oh, this someone just leave a comment just now. Oh, Zadal. Hello, Zadal. And if you just leave a comment, or if it, I don't even know. I wasn't even watching. Oh, right, nice. So you're still in the chat. Alright. So what I was saying, Zadal, is that I was saying a lot actually. I was saying that living in nature means living within yourself. Right? What that essentially means is let me see if you understand what I mean by that. Let me see if you're thinking. Alright. So what that essentially means is the more you live within your mind and not letting others influence you, is the more that you feel more of yourself. Right? The less you have to depend on devices is the more you have to depend on yourself, and the more you depend on yourself is the more natural you'll feel, and the more safe you'll feel within your mind, is what that means. No, it has a difference between. Zadok said I'm trying to influence him. I'm not trying to influence anybody. Anybody. Right, yeah. Right, so I just made that discovery today. While I was, well, I actually made it this week, not today. So essentially, right, over these past couple of years, I was just on my phone listening music, doing all sorts of things besides listening to my own self. I was just listening to others and listening to others' opinions upon, you know, the outside world without actually living within it. I was just, right? So, whenever I didn't have someone to tell me what to do or any music to listen to, I was feeling uneasy, because I never really spent time with myself, right, within my own mind, right? So I was so dependent on these devices and these tools that I felt like a stranger within my own mind, right? But I started with a phone, right? I started with a phone, and as that was in primary school, and then I moved on to high school. So you weren't doing what you really wanted to do, just what? Yeah. So I was just looking for what else call I would like. I was just looking for that gratification from others, that. Yeah, I think this gratification, yeah. I was just looking for that gratification from others rather than within myself. And I believe that most of the world is built upon just that gratification from others. It's a flashy way of just showing off. Because I tell you, like every time I went on the device, which was the phone. This was in high school. I got my first phone. I went on the phone and I just was looking at different celebrities and different things on it. And I felt like, I was missing out. I felt like, you know, and others around me was just showing off what they had and all these things. And I began chasing that dream of just, getting everything, getting the car, getting the house, getting all these things, right? But when I got my goal, like one of my first goal was to get a shoes. When I got it, I show it off. After like 2 weeks, I felt empty again. You know, and then I went searching for the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and every time I will feel empty. Every time. And so when I got out of high school now into the real world, I got a job and everything. It got so stressful that instead of just going on the phone, I began drinking alcohol and also smoking because of that emptiness. The emptiness essentially, the emptiness is the mind itself. The emptiness is the ignorance of the mind, the ignorance of ignoring yourself. So it essentially got so bad. It got so, on that level that I couldn't just watch a show or. So, what did you do to change that habit? The habit of drinking and smoking. Now, I was a heavy, heavy, heavy drinker. Like, I will drink a whole half of 750 ml vodka in one sitting. Let me see if I could show you that level of, like, that was a lot. you know. Looking back on it now is actually funny. Absolut vodka 750. So I'll drink like half of this in one sitting. Right? Because everybody around me was doing it, and so I felt comfortable. All my friends was doing it too. So I felt very comfortable drinking it. So to kill that habit now, I always grew up exercising and also eating good. So I guess from healthy eating and exercising, I just broke that habit easier than the average person because I never really believed in all these glamorous societal things, like cars and I mean I have all these things now, but I will never go out and party and all these things because I never really felt 100% um within that. I never was influenced that bad. I would always question things when going in school and all these things. I never really saw the point of school too because why spend time in school so long just to pursue something that's you're not 100% in. You can't make a decision that life changing when you're so young. So it's over time I just broke the habit. It wasn't an easy thing to break, boy, but I just got honest with myself after some time. The honesty is the light, honestly. Like, I just stopped chasing. Yeah, I guess it's that. I just stopped chasing all these things, you know. I just started living within my needs rather than what I want. Yeah. Alright, so on this channel, like, these scribbles, I have another video where I want to explain, like, another level of life, but it's just invisible to us, you know. And don't think that that is a crazy um that is a crazy concept, because air exists, you know. Like, you can't see air, but you could feel it, you know, that kind of way, you know. And I see air as another version of water. I mean, everything is everything. So I have a concept that I want to come out with, a theory. Yeah, theory. But the scribbles is like, I love the scribbles. If you want to call it scribbles, I just see it like what we live in. You know, currents, different currents and different waves. That is essentially what all this all life is, I guess, in a way. You know, I am currently talking on waves in a kind of way, and I attracted you to this stream, to this channel actually, yeah. So I guess I've been scribbling since high school too. Oh yeah, I used to write. I used to journal in high school as well. So I guess that's another way I helped. I coped with drinking and smoking, because of my journaling as well. I used to just, because I had nobody to talk to. Asking about this. This one is this one, have no explanation for this one. Oh yeah, this one, right. I don't remember this one. Alright, so I drew this one like this, right? So essentially, imagine this as you, this little dot here as you, right? But growing up, you never really had your own ideas, right? So essentially, you locked yourself, your own ideas, your own self within a cage, and that is what this drawing is essentially. Yourself locked in a cage. That is what this is up here. So this is me locked in a cage right here. So yeah, that is the explanation for that. Right? And another explanation why the lines are wrong you is because this is your potential, you know, to create boundaries and to create a space, you know. are your goals now that you are free? Just to build this channel, build a community around people who could help each other to better each other. You know, and to be more within myself, to learn different technologies, different histories. I actually streamed um, this guy was telling me about, hold on, Jean Jacques Rosau. Yeah, Jean Jacques Rosau. I don't know if I pronounced that correct. I started this stream last night, but I didn't like how I was pronouncing his name. I was kind of skimping through the the whole thing. I was kind of skimping through it, so I said I'll do it over. I said I'll do it over. Yeah, Jean Jacques Rosau. Tell me if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Right, so I started it, and I find it very interesting that we've been through a lot. I stopped at where his mother died from the fever, and he been through a lot. I could relate in going through a lot growing up, and I just started, so I don't know what else he been through to have these philosophical ideas. But this is the first philosopher I reading up on, right? So to be part of the French Revolution back then would have been, you would have to have a strong belief, because being part of that means certain death. Being part of, if you fail, you get executed with the guillotine, and so this is like one of the pioneers of modern civilization as well. So yeah, so I want to read up on people who contributed a lot to society and civilization, people who like invented video games and computers, all these complex things. um I want to learn about like organizations, like how they come to be, to put together such a complex network of people. I find that to be very interesting. And this has to do with my belief as well. I made a stream a while back about how we are only related by beliefs and lines. So that basically says that the only reason that we are connected is through like invisible lines and our beliefs. So the lines are our beliefs, and the number of people who has that belief is the number of people that one day they will meet each other. Sometimes we meet people and we can relate to them, in certain way, in certain aspects of their lives. And you ever meet a person who you can't relate to? Think about that. Have you ever meet a person who you cannot relate to, or you meet a person who you can relate to? I'll answer the how long would I pursue YouTube? I have no goal with I have no goal with YouTube. I just I have a goal, but I'm not planning on leaving YouTube anytime soon, because my goal fall in line with a kind of a life goal, honestly. So I doubt I'll be quitting YouTube anytime. So that goal is like a lifelong goal. So um yeah, so have you ever met someone? I guess you met me. So that line theory is like that relates to who you meet in your life through your beliefs, you know? Because once you hold a certain belief, you wouldn't meet the wrong set of people, or you'll always meet the right set of people once you have the right set of beliefs, good or bad, you know? Yeah. So your friends, they essentially live on that line of, your beliefs and vice versa. Both of you are sharing that belief. So it's like it's like that. Um, you are friends with yeah. But I wanna dive deeper into it. It essentially says that the only thing that matters is your mind. That is essentially what that belief holds. Is a deeper, just like this live streamer said that it has to do with living within your mind. This is related to that as well. It deals with a deeper perspective with beliefs, and how most of us who live within and stress within society is those who believe society the most, rather than themselves. So it deals with that. This is why I said I'll try to understand all these organizations and stuff. So once I have that understanding of how they achieve that goal, I will have a higher sense of how to say, like a higher sense of belief or a way of thinking. I'll be more organized within my mind is essentially what I'm trying to say. Right? But what are some of your beliefs, Zado? That video will be a long video. That will be a while before I post that video actually. Hmm. Deeper perspective within your mind. That will be a lovely video. Could be a multi institutional thing. The then hire editors and all that, researchers and all that. So yeah, all we have is belief. Once you can master the mind, you can master anything. Is essentially what that holds. The higher your beliefs is a higher sense of purpose and life, quality of life is. As long as you believe, and not about belief alone, but it's about working towards that belief too. Body and mind. Bazado, tell me some of your belief. Like, am I making sense? Am I not making sense? Give me some criticism. I love criticism. Failure is what we need to grow, because none of us came out our mother's womb walking perfectly. At some point we had to fall down on our face and get back up to learn how to walk, and so tell me, what are some of your beliefs? What am I making sense or what? Tell me some criticism or whatever. All right. So tell you summarize it. All right. So basically, then I will be able to discuss with knowing your idea as well. All right. So my idea is that. All right. So the idea that all of us within our minds, right? Body aside, within our minds. This is not about body, right? All of us live on a line of belief. Now, I said one line, but what I really meant to say was on lines, right? Sorry. We live with multiple lines of belief within our minds, right? Now, the more attention we give what we believe in the most, is the more people we meet just like that, with the same belief. All right. That is essentially that is a summary of it. Hence why we had different groups of people, because they hold the same belief, just like inventors and all these manufacturers and stuff. So yeah, I kind of my mind kind of all over the moment. So that is a quick summary. That is the fastest summary I could come up with. 12 a.m. That is the time right now, and yes, that makes a lot of sense. It is very logical. We can see the politics, even sports. Alright, so it has to do with, I like what I say C. So right now I can't really think straight right now. I'm kinda hungry. I do drink some water. 12 a.m. That is the time. I'm supposed to be in bed since 10 o'clock. So anyways. So right, so C. Right, I don't remember what I said. So C. It also has a lot to do with how we see the world, you know? What truth you are willing to make, what you are willing to sacrifice. So most of us, with our eyes, we have a sense of perspective, right? So this perspective now is how much truth you're willing to see. Right, that is the perspective right now. So some of us, we can't really handle too much truth, so we tend to shy away from it. And so, as I was saying with the belief aspect, the more you shy away from it is the more you meet people like that and the more you feel comfortable, right? Is the less you change. The less you change is the more comfortable you feel and the more at home. Right? So how much you want to see of the truth, it has to deal with that as well. Right? So me growing up in uh, mm, but we can live with different beliefs and accept other don't agree with, so beliefs can hmm 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 hmm. Hmm. So the lines can cross each other. We can live with different beliefs and accept other that we don't agree with. Hmm. I mean that is true. That is true actually. So that like kind of breaking my brain here. I mean that is true. I never really thought about it. I never really thought about it like that. But yeah, that is true. Kind of break my brain for a millisecond. But that is true. You can actually just accept that. Hmm. And I can't live with it. I mean, kind of. Let's know. So under this, right? So I have so much different ideas, but brain so tired just now. I have them written down as well, and hold on. I have my book here. I don't know if I could. Alright. So we can live with each other's opposite beliefs, and but like I guess it feels wrong sometimes, you know. I guess that's natural. That is natural. To share that perspective is more important though, you know, because you could learn different things from different beliefs. You could learn a different perspective. So that is true. And from learning that perspective, you could dive even deeper into, you know, what other beliefs a person might have. So it's like that as well. You know, once you break that barrier of just understanding the moment of one's belief, it kind of opened my mind. It opened my mind there. Hmm. But at the same time, if someone has a self destructive belief, you wouldn't want to know, you know, what they believe in because it is inefficient, whatever they believe in, right? Whatever they believe in is self destructive, so you don't want any part of that. Yes, like say, but I guess if they actually, so they have different hobbies and things, so I guess how they choose to see how to solve different problems in certain areas, it will be self destructive. But don't you think people have a large set of belief people cannot be judged? Hmm, true, true. But you don't think people have a large set of beliefs? People cannot be simplified, judged or simplified over one disagreement, over one belief. That is true. But still, right? That is true. If you judge somebody over one belief, that is very, very, very shallow. Very shallow. It says that you're not willing to dive deeper into whatever else they have, within them. So that is very, very shallow of that belief, of that. That shows ignorance for one. It shows the lack of, understanding, the lack of patience. So you can't go for that. That is true. The more you dive deeper is the more you get to understand. And the more you get to understand is you know, the more truth you get to understand. Whatever is on the surface sometimes will never seem the same when you dive deep. Hmm. But that's no. But and also you say life is like a wave, like water. That is about another of your idea. No, life is like this, right? Me trying to explain life, I am just one person. It will feel like a fighting a losing battle if I just try to explain it. But still, I have a perspective on it, right? What I was saying is that it is like not really a wave, but at the same time, it is all connected. It's like a whole like so like imagine a soup. You ever made a soup before? Like, what is your favorite type of soup? When I say life, I mean like individual life, like uh, a entity, like you as one person, a dog, any animal, anything, even a stone, right? I mean this as a general and as a individual perspective. This is how I see life, right? I mean this in a physical form. I did see a wave, but I meant that like I meant that like within life, like hold on, let me just explain it. Right? When I say wave, I meant like the lines of belief. Yeah, like the lines of belief that pushes us. It moves us it moves us towards or from other beliefs, like so I meant waves like in that form, right? As in the belief. Right, but I wanna get to another thing of life. I just watch it like if you as a person could see like a bug or like something that is way more tinier than you, right? You could see that like a grass growing, like a tiny. You ever see like a tiny, 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 tiny grass growing, or like even a bug, right? But then you believe in a kind of pre-chosen, right? I guess so. Destiny pushing you to, yeah. Damn, you take the words on my mouth. It's like, it's like that. It's similar to that. It's like at one point in time, everything will just be one thing. It's like I picked up a stone the other day. I picked up a coral. You know that corals, I believe they said corals is sand. Corals is sand. I wanna search that up. Hold on, let me just search it up. If I'm wrong, let's know. Settings. What? Hold on. But I believe that. Hold on. The predestined is part of it, and as I say with perspective, it's never just one thing. It's like a combination of all these different things because of belief. It can never be one belief. It's so deep that is multiple different beliefs overlapping. Alright, so let me just search it. It's coral sand. No, what I'm trying to say is that at one point all of this had to just be one thing. Because if you watch human, all of us look all the same. I mean, yeah, essentially. Because, like, think about it as this. how are we truly free if we are bound to our bodies, right? Think about that. Think about that. We're bound to our bodies. How are we free? But at the same time, all of us are the same because if you think about, I can't really draw an example. Right, think about a house or like, I don't even know, like a work. A work has to operate under moving parts in order to operate. Like an engine or like a phone. If one part goes bad, the whole thing collapses, right? In order for life to work, everything needs each other. In this current state of time, of reality, everything needs each other. I don't know what will happen after that. Like after I die, if I'll transport into another plane or reality or what, but it's like it's a height is a height of is a height of understanding. And it's only now I really started to research it. Started like a month now or started a while back, but I think like 2 months to the most. So I can't really explain it to the fullest extent of my ability. But it's like I made a couple examples here. In order for I have no religion. I don't even know religion. I never been to church as a religious person before anything. He asked me if I know philosophers. I have no clue about any philosopher. The first philosopher you tell me about is this person, Jean Jacques Jean Jacques Rousseau. Jean Jacques Rousseau. That is the first philosopher you told me about. But I have no religion tied thing. Right? Um, Another example. Oh my god, like if you were to, let's say, grow up without a phone or grow up without any influence, what would you believe in? What would you have believed in? Would you have believed in that is essentially what I trying to explain. Like the belief in just everything. The belief in just is a complex thing just to explain, but like at the same time, in order for everything to work, you need a sense of space, of just that. The same way how in order for us to know that we exist and to know everything exists, we need life. But without life, there will be nothing. So it's like, tell me if I'm making sense. I sound kind of dumb to myself saying it out loud, but I sound kind of dumb saying it out loud. I personally think I sound dumb saying it out loud. Alright, let me slow down and explain it. And this whole belief stems from what we can see and what we can't see. So it stems from real life. It doesn't stem from you I telling you whatever, like religion or whatever else. Right? It just stems from just seeing the world. Alright? If you were to take away all these inventions and all these different ways of communication and you just live within existence, all right, we would just be normal, plain, I guess you want to say animals or whatever, all right. We wouldn't know about God or whatever else they want to talk about, right? We wouldn't know, you know. So with that being said, because English language wouldn't be a thing, number one, we wouldn't have no kind of civilization or billions of different people because we would just be a normal animal. We wouldn't have no sense of transportation or any sense of direction or anything, right? So now I believe in another thing called nothing changes on every scale. On every scale, nothing changes, alright? So, what that means is that back then, because what I not just explained is what already happened before, we would have had to solve our problems of survival, of hunting, and what have you be. And now we have to solve the same problems of, I don't know, I guess working and whatever. So, would you say, I don't know what they say when they mean freedom. Um Freedom, I don't know. If you ask me what I doing now that I free, I still live within my mind. I still like living within the mind is and being alive. You could never be free. Hold on. Yes, without tools, human will be physically stronger. There would be no cruelty. Alright, there will be no cruelty or violence except survival. We would not exploit others, but that would also bring a big issue. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that is the same thing I was saying. Nothing changes, that will bring a big issue, right? And I say no. I mean, even within us, in terms of our organs and our internal systems, they depend on different ways of survival and our cells and all these different things. So just imagine that within us we have trillions and uncountable different mechanical or biological systems that make us, alive. Um, but we are just separated by being I guess, yes, being us. We're just separated by that. And what that just says is that you could never be, anyone except yourself. Oh my god, I'm just too tired just to explain this thing. I had to make a book or something just to, I had to sit down and really think about what I'm saying. It's just the belief of just being alive, just being here, just just being you. Right? Just being you is is just, the truest form. And the most truest form, it doesn't depend on anything besides being yourself. It doesn't depend on tools or whatever. It just requires just living within your mind, is essentially what I was saying. And just living within that is just, once you live there, it's just existence. But I don't get you, you think. Alright, let me just visually draw this out. Hold on. No, don't replace at all. Save. Alright, let me visually draw it out. Alright. So I'm not saying to go back into nature. What I'm saying is that nature is us. Not that nature is the forest, or living with animals, or I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is being alive and not having to pretend is being in nature. So I have this thing here. This is the mind. I just calling this the brain. Um, all right. So the brain, which is the mind, it takes information from the eyes, right? Whatever the eyes see is whatever it tries to process into whatever you wanna call it reality, I guess. All right. Now the brain can process all different things. It could process beliefs. It could process our drive to do things, threats. This is um, our survival organ, right? So if you was to live without a brain, is living out of that is just being dead, honestly, because are you talking about the nature of a human, like the essence, the core of us, and that certain tools like phone, social media put away from our nature or true self, what we wanna be. Well, yeah, that is like so. I'm not saying not everybody had to be the same. I mean, I like technology. I love technology, honestly. This shit is interesting to me because there's so many different moving parts. It's performing in harmony. That shit gets to me, that shit like makes me think like damn, like and then sometimes you watch the cores of these processors and you just watch a motherboard, you see so many different moving parts. It's like a whole city or a whole world in your hand. And alright, so and you living in where you from? You are texting me from somewhere that is so far from here. So I'm not saying that everybody has to go live in the bush or whatever. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is, I know technology has a lot of good. Yeah, so it can hurt you, but it's not that the technology hurts you. You hurt yourself. It's never blaming technology. What tells you I am not Caribbean too? Your name Zadal. That sounds like a Russian name, Zadal. Right? But so I believe in just not blaming others, but blaming yourself. Just blaming yourself because again, the brain, the mind, that way of just taking information and putting it in your brain, your mind, it goes a long way because we don't live in on the earth. The earth is just one part of it. We actually live within our minds, right? Because without our minds, there would be no earth essentially. It would just be dead. It would just be dead. Um, it all starts in our mind. The more stronger your mind is the more of the world you could see. Right? Does that make sense? Aglada visually drew it out. Right? But I want to go higher than that, but that will be for another night. It has even before the brain, because the brain has to. That will be another thing. Bit when you think about it. But when you think about it, social media are engineered to keep you hooked like a drug. And advertising tries and is designed to influence you to get something from you. No. Hmm. Well, either way, even if it is designed or it's not that it designed, it's just that it has to do with, I guess it is designed because it is how you grew up around the people around you and what you see growing up. So I guess it in a way it is designed to fit whatever surrounding you're in. And the more people you see with the same thing is the more you feel, you know. So in a way, so yeah. So it's not that. So what would you call the mind? What is the mind? We have the brain, but what is the mind? I never searched it up before to find out the definition of mind. In fact, none of this I actually researched. I just did all of this stuff from the top of my head. All these live streams and stuff I did from the top of my head because yeah, I just felt the need to just have it out there. That is why I can't really explain most of it because I never researched. Kind of hard for me to just explain. So what would you call the mind? What would you call it? Is your mind the voice in your head, or is it just, would you call it everything, like what how you see the world? So right. So for me, the mind is the personality, what makes you an individual. So for you, the mind is essentially all of you then. So all of you is the mind. Right? So alright, so Alright, lovely. So, because all in lineage is influenced by that in lineage. In village, in hold on, I never saw that word before. What does that word mean? In village. Right. Alright, so the mind is dependent on the eyes, and the eyes is dependent on the world to see things. And the world is dependent on the sun, and it all starts in the mind. Alright? You ever thought about not no, the mind wouldn't necessarily include knowledge or skills, just the cornerstone of you, because the knowledge you gather and the skills you choose to have are ultimately influenced by your personality. You will choose things that interest you. Hmm. Exactly. I will choose things that. Ah? Hold on, be right back. Be right back. Proper. Yeah. Alright, so I'll drink that when I finish. Right, so as I was saying before, the opportunities that you took, what if you just took them out of just pure influence? Alright? I mean, as I was saying with the belief, right? Because your belief is everything actually, right? Your belief is who you choose to have as friends. Your belief is who is whatever job you have. Hmm. Right, so we could agree that um could agree that the mind is powerful, right? Yeah, it's getting late. But we could agree that the mind is powerful. Without the mind, we'll be nothing. We could agree on that, right? Okay, that is a good note to end to end this live stream on. Well, yeah, I guess it's for you. It will end. Alright, so have a good morning, cause it's one a.m. for me right now. So have a good morning. We'll have to continue this discussion. We'll have to continue this discussion for sure sometime soon. Because what I'm trying to say is that your mind is everything. Your mind is your will, which is essentially what I'm trying to say. Right? It all starts within your mind. But until next time, true. Yeah, I should go to sleep actually. Well, have a good rest. Have a good rest. Right now I'm eating, so after I'm finished eating, I'll go to bed. Until next time, have a good rest. You know any other philosophers besides Mr. Rosal? Where you going? Alright. So that was Zado. Alright, so oh my. Alright, so hold on. Where to just now? What is this line? What the hell is that? Where that come from? Black line on my monitor. Okay. That is lovely. Just lovely. Alright, so if it's just a ink. Oh, that is lovely. Alright, so that's it for tonight. I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, all of you. Well, until next time, have a good night.